I have a model, a theory, if you will, to help trainers and preceptors understand the process of field training paramedics and EMTs. Take a listen and see if it makes sense. My theory is that driving and EMSing are similar. Understanding the correlations will help you be a better trainer. And on the job training is critical for every level of medicine. EMS is no different. You may as well be good at it. I'm Angry Bill. This is pre-hospital wisdom. We understand that medicine's medicine everywhere in every setting, but pre-hospital providers have skills, knowledge, and experience that other clinicians don't have. Let's raise the bar. In my life, I've had the misfortune, honor, of teaching teenagers to drive. I'm proud to say that I recently sat in the right front seat while my daughter learned. But I thought of this concept while teaching my nephew a few years ago. Each time I ride with a novice driver, I see this pattern. So in Colorado, as in many states, a teenager with a learner's driving permit needs certain hours of certain kinds of practice with a licensed adult driver. They usually do this while they're 15, so they can get their license at 16 years old. The adults in my nephew's life took turn riding in the front passenger seat with him, teaching him to drive on live roads with other drivers. One day I had to run a few errands and then make a trip about an hour up into the mountains, so I let him drive. What I discovered is that driving requires a person to have a grasp on about 20 things. Your speed, lane position, lane choice, upcoming hazards, what the sign you just passed said, and whether it was important, how close you are to the car in front of you, how many police cars are trying to pitch you, how to dodge the spike strip, and so on. A brand new driver has a firm grasp on about 5 of those. The 5 concepts my nephew paid attention to rotated through the list of 20. If he started to change lanes, he lost control of his speed. If he paid attention to his speed, he lost track of where he was. If he read a sign, he would drift into the adjacent lane. Don't even mention turning left through an intersection. That's just pure drama. Over time, he could pay attention to 6 requirements at a time, then 10, and with enough practice, he could manage all 20 at the same time. We all went through the same journey. Everyone goes through that pattern. It's called learning to drive. I bet whoever taught you to drive went through the same thing. Let me know in the comments if you agree. Anyway, my job during this process was not to act like my parents acted when I was learning to drive. My mother tried to stomp a hole in the passenger floorboard of her minivan when I was driving, especially if I was driving over 12 miles an hour. My father took me to the high school parking lot in his '74 Ford pickup truck. That truck had 3 manual gears and a clutch that took about 140 pounds of pressure to hold against the floor. I think I weighed about 135 pounds then. And every parent wants their kids to be safe drivers, so they're perfectionists. They have to be. It's important, and driving can have life-altering effects if done badly. First hint about the similarities between driving and EMS is right there. Important, life-altering in some cases, and kind of hard to learn to do well, especially to move from adequate or proficient to great. Anyway, back to the errand trip ending in the mountains. My nephew made errors, a lot of errors. He's learning. Of course he did. It comes with the territory. I believe this trip was the first time he was pulled over by a policeman, as a matter of fact. But nothing overtly dangerous, just errors from a novice. Before each leg of the trip, I would verbally go over something for him to work on. On the way to this next door, I want you to pay attention to your speed, okay? While driving, there were times that he would find his own mistake and fix it without input from me. Other times, he would correct himself when I asked simple questions. Yo, how fast are we going now? Sometimes I would take some of the tasks off his plate. That sign ahead says the right lane is ending, so we need to move 1 lane over to your left as soon as it's safe to do so. Sometimes I would have to just tell him what was wrong and the correction directly. Pick a lane, boy, you're weaving. I never had to do it, but if worse came to worse, I could have made an adjustment to the steering wheel myself. I could even have made him pull over and let me drive if things went that pear-shaped. As paramedics and EMTs, we all had to learn to drive, and each of us had to learn to run an EMS call. I realized that training paramedics and EMTs, probably medical students, student nurses, residents as well, it's all a similar process to teaching a high schooler to drive. There are about 20 items the trainee has to pay attention to and prioritize, but they have a firm grasp on only about 5 at a time at the beginning. My job as a trainer is to increase the parts of the call that the trainee can handle at any one time. I could do that with easy questions like, how does this breathing look to you? I can choose to take tasks off their plate when I ask other responders to grab a stair chair, or I can wait for the trainee to remember to do that. I can talk about a specific facet of a call to concentrate on before we arrive on scene, like on the next call, I want you to make sure you listen to breath sounds. Make sure to do it because I'll be watching for it. I can drop big hints during the call by handing medications to the trainee or by spiking an IV bag in front of her. I can choose to watch a minor error happen to see how long it takes for him to realize it on his own and get back into their own lane. I can step in and correct bigger errors with specific instructions. I can even be more aggressive and tell the trainees specifically what they need to do. Even if I want to, I can hip check them to the side and take over the call if it's gone completely wrong. When I was helping to teach my nephew to drive, I had to choose my response based on the severity of the situation. When I field train, I make similar choices constantly. The important thing is that the trainer, driving or EMS, not base their reaction on emotion or fear. Don't stomp your foot into the passenger side floorboard and panic. Fear causes shouting, frustration causes ineffective communication. Bullying is futile and counterproductive. Apathy is the worst, though. There's no effective learning at all when the trainer is disengaged. I try to channel my tolerant side and base my teaching strategies on what's needed, not what feels good. That's how baby medics and baby drivers are similar. So, what's a lesson? Allow your trainees and students to make mistakes as long as it's safe to do so and there are no lasting effects. Expect them to have only a partial grasp on only some of the concepts and help them manage the others. Give them more tests to juggle as they become proficient. Start by giving trainees responsibility for a single patient and you control the scene in the background. As they improve, allow them scene responsibilities and later system responsibilities. Don't expect students to be proficient at every task. Help them prioritize their attention, but challenge them. Make sure they're being gently pushed to improve. Give them something to work on or focus on for each call before you get there or at the beginning of the shift. I would love to hear your thoughts on this theory that driving and practicing pre hospital medicine is similar. If you like this, hit like, and if you really like it, hit subscribe. Share the link with someone who would enjoy this content too. I need 1,000 subscribers, and I sincerely appreciate each one of you. Thank you. I'm Angry Bill. This is Pre Hospital Wisdom. Until next time, stay safe.